Hello, my name is Bonnie Waterhouse and I'm the president and co-founder of Voices Against Lyme Disease. We are a nonprofit that's based here in Windsor and we've been in existence since 2014. The reason for us starting this nonprofit is my son has had Lyme disease and 2 other tick-borne illnesses for over 30 years. We wanted to be able to explain to people how important it is to understand awareness and education around ticks, Lyme disease, chronic Lyme, all of that, because what it can do to a family. It is not only devastating to the person that has Lyme disease, but also financially, personal issues within the family, any kinds of emotional issues that go on as well. It is a full family illness, not just the person that is trying to deal with this. Voices Against Lyme Disease really brings awareness throughout the state, and we do that in a number of different ways. We've actually had programs in many municipalities, including here in Windsor, Public Works Department, lunch and learn sessions with employees in the town, as well as Torrington. We've also done Public Works, fire departments, and a lot of other locations. We do presentations in organizations, at businesses, camps, and schools. And what we have found very recently, as time has gone on, that our best audience is really the children. The children are very curious, have lots of wonderful questions to ask, and to be honest with you, they are at the front line because how many schools we have gone into or programs that we've done for children, and we have learned they're coming in from school, from recess outside with ticks on them, family issues, their dogs with Lyme disease. They are on the front line because they are outside. Ages 5 to 14 years old, actually 25% of Lyme disease now diagnosed in the United States every year is close to 500,000. And when you figure 25% of that is children, that's a big chunk of it. And literally, it is devastating to the child as well. We are actually seeing quite a bit of changes in regards to tick-borne illnesses because of climate change. Take, for instance, this past winter. It has been extremely warm compared to other winters. And what has happened is we have found very recently, and when I say recently, over the last couple of years, the researchers are saying because it is warmer, the ticks are out 12 months of the year. And we actually get calls from people that have gone for walks in February or in January, and they're coming in with ticks on them. So it's very important that we make sure people are aware of that when they are outside. A good example of that, again, is if they are out raking their leaves and they're picking up their leaves. All the ticks can be underneath those leaves, and we try to give them a better idea of how to dress and to be aware of those ticks. The other thing we've noticed is we are beginning to get a lot more of ticks from the southwest coming up, some of which are much more aggressive even than the black-legged ticks, such as the Lone Star tick. You are beginning to see now hospitals, emergency rooms, people are coming in with anaphylactic shocks based on being bitten by a Lone Star tick and after they have eaten red meat, never even knowing they got bit by that tick. That is a huge issue that we are now trying to deal with, especially up here. We find it in the northern towns up here in Connecticut. There are a couple of other ticks that are also here now that are causing other types of tick-borne illnesses. So yes, it is key. Climate change is certainly making it more difficult, and it's more important that we are protected. Key in making people more aware of the environment and the tick-borne illnesses, we really believe has to do with focusing on our children. As I've mentioned previously, 25% of the people that get Lyme disease are our children of 5 to 14 years of age. We believe it is extremely important for tick environments, Lyme disease, and other chronic illnesses be taught in either science or health classes from grade 2 all the way up through high school. That is key because we have been able to bring these kinds of programs to the middle school in the past during their science labs. It has been very helpful. We've been told it's really doing, really helping the kids understand about the ticks. We also talk to them about the health, because not only is it important to understand about the ticks, but it's also important to have a healthy immune system, so that if you do get bit by a tick, you're going to be able to fight off any illness or do a better job at fighting off those illnesses. Remember, they're out at recess, they're doing sports on fields that are not sprayed in any way, they're coming in with ticks. Another piece of that is we have also found that I think there needs to be more education with the nurses within the school systems. We've had some work with them, and we do see that I think it would be very important that they have a better idea and understanding of the importance of getting the tick out of any child that has already been engorged, and what to do about that tick going forward. The other thing would be to help the towns to understand, we all very much love our open space and our hiking trails, but the towns also need to understand how can they help protect the people that are utilizing that. What can they do about the grass? What can they do about the meadows? What kinds of paths they can have? All of that should be brought to the town so that they understand. And I, again, am hearing stories of people who are coming in from different walks, and they're coming in with ticks that are on them. So we need to make the towns aware of that. As far as funding, this isn't something we can necessarily do, but maybe jointly as our towns, and we talk to our senators and our representatives. More funding is so important. We need to be able to do much more research on vaccinations, move that along a lot faster. When I think about all the great things we've been doing for COVID, and Lyme disease has been around for 40 years, what can we possibly do to hurry up the process for Lyme disease? We also need to make doctors understand that there is such a thing as late-stage Lyme or chronic Lyme, whereas some of the doctors still believe that that's not the case. You give somebody a certain amount of antibiotics and they're going to be clear and they're never going to be sick again. And we've certainly heard that. So that's very important that that education happens. And the other thing that I would like to mention is it's so key, as I've said, about not only vaccines, but testing for Lyme disease is only 45 to 50% accurate. It's important that we continue the work on the accuracy and quality of testing. And the other piece of that is often now the doctors are okay to approve just Lyme disease to be tested. There are many other tick-borne illnesses that we not only have here in Connecticut, but across the United States, that they are not willing to have tested because it's very expensive. So right now it's important that we get the word out. Things need to change as far as the insurance is concerned. It should cover 6 to 7 of the major tick-borne illnesses and not just Lyme disease. So I wanted to quickly just give you a little bit of an idea of what we do, especially with the children in the different classes. And again, most of our programs are definitely based on age appropriateness. For an example, I often will use a huge arachnid poster for the older kids so that they understand that a tick is part of the arachnid family. I don't show that for second graders. It's just not something we do. So we do try to make it age appropriate. And what we've done in the last 6 months is we've really been given additional funds, not only from the town, but from Lyme Disease Association, where we created our own children's brochure, along with an illustrator here in Windsor, whose name is Sue Porcaro. She is the one that helped design it, and between Sue and myself, we put this little brochure together, which is more very graphic. So children didn't necessarily need to be able to read, they could just look at the pictures, and this helps them, especially when we're out there doing some of the programs. In addition, we also created a maze of finding ticks, and we have a lot of other different activities that we use with the children. We have bagels that we bring that actually have ticks on them along with the poppy seeds, and they actually have to take a look in a magnifying glass to find which ones are the ticks, because that's exactly the size of a poppy seed. We talk about the chipmunks, and we talk about the field mice, how they carry 200-300 ticks at a time. And then, of course, the one that they love the most is our new little guy, Peter Possum. And Peter is part of our brochure. So Peter usually will come along, our puppet, and the kids get a kick out of him. He is the biggest predator of ticks, and he'll eat thousands of ticks in a season, which is why the kids seem to really get a kick out of seeing them. We do also have a number of different books that we give out, activity books. We also have our adult pamphlets that were some of the very first pamphlets we did back in 2016, 17, and we've updated them as we go along. This also was helped by the health department. We received some help with them on that. We give out tick ID cards, and right on the ID card you can actually see the size of the ticks. And we often, not just for the children, but for the adults, tell them to put it in your pocket. A lot of them are out gardening right now, and they're coming in with ticks on them because we often get calls, which is also another key thing that Voices Against Lyme Disease does. We have a support group that is every third Saturday of the month, and we even have people from out of state calling in. It's Zoom, and it's free for anyone that wants to be a part of that support group. So in here we also give information about symptom lists. This is the adult symptom list, and this is 2-page, and it doesn't mean you're going to get all of these symptoms, but these are some ideas of if you're beginning to feel bad for different things, because it's not just your muscles, it can be neurological, and often people talk about their cognitive ability or their brain fog because they can't remember certain things. So it's a good idea to be able to take a look at this prevention. And then the other major thing that I wanted to mention was we also get a lot of information from the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station, and this particular pamphlet actually talks about that one in particular tick that is now extremely aggressive, and this is the one that people are ending up in the emergency room. It's called the Lone Star tick with the white dot on it. It talks about some other ticks. We also have information about an invasive plant called Japanese barberry bush. That particular bush is an invasive plant, but is being sold by nurseries because it is a beautiful plant. It flowers, it has berries on it, but the chipmunks and the mice go under that bush because it's very thick, the soil is very moist, and the ticks will come off the mice, and the chipmunks and the squirrels go up that bush. And you could brush past that bush and you can end up with a half a dozen ticks on you. So we do know there is a legislator here in Connecticut that has tried to put through a law, a bill that is basically saying this nursery should not be selling invasive plants. All the nurseries are in Connecticut, and it should be taken off the market. It has not been approved. I know they have tried it 2 or 3 times, and we're hoping that we can give them a hand during the next session to see if we can't get that through as well. I did want to mention before we go for this program that we actually do presentations across the state, as I spoke a little bit earlier, and the support group. If you're interested in any programs, we just got back from doing Bloomfield's 2nd and 3rd graders in June before they ended the season. We would love to come out and do some of the schools in the fall, camps, camp counselors, all of that. We'd be happy to do that. Or if you're interested in the support group in any of these, please feel free to give us a call. My number is 860-930-2446. Again, 860-930-2446. We'd be very happy to give you a hand. Thank you.